Everybody was really nice. Everybody was really sweet. Like I said, when we left at the end there, so Junie, Vinny, and I went to the karaoke. We went to eat and then we went to the karaoke. And when we walked out, even though there was still people outside, like, nobody really crowded us. People could tell that we like got out, we were ready to go. And so yeah, so on Saturday, my birthday dinner, it was really nice. We all went to my birthday dinner, and after the birthday dinner, it was snowing. And I have to say, I don't know if I want to have kids, but Numi made me feel like what it must feel like to have a kid, because when we got out of the restaurant and it was snowing, she was going out and like taking photos of the snow and taking videos. So I told her, I'm like, let's go back to the hotel. Let's get changed because I was wearing like 6-inch heels, and let me put on running shoes. And we went back to the hotel. Everybody got changed. And then when we went outside, it stopped snowing. So we went back to like this little place, and she like took a bunch of photos and videos, and just kind of seeing her be so excited about the snow. I made this comment out loud, I think to Cinder. I was like, is this what having kids is like? Is this what, when people talk about Christmas magic or holiday magic, is holiday magic just having younger siblings or having kids? Because it felt that way. It felt that way, Snow. Like, she just, for anybody that doesn't know, she's not from the East Coast, so she didn't see snow. So what then we did, we ended up taking the subway because we wanted to go to Times Square. And I was like, I told Numi, and I actually felt really cool. I was like, Numi, I promise you it's going to snow again. I was talking out of my ass. But get this, we tried to find rats in the subway, couldn't find rats in the subway. When we got out at Times Square, it was snowing these gigantic, like it was some of the biggest snow I've ever seen. And I am from the East Coast. It was some of the biggest snow that I have seen from the East Coast. It was these big flocons, I don't know, flakes. She was so happy. Like it truly felt like seeing a child see snow for the first time. And I know she's seen snow before when she skied or snowboard, but it was different because it was falling from the sky. And it was like with all the lights of Times Square, and other people were also doing like those kind of photos, right? Like everybody else in Times Square was also doing that tourist thing. It was really cute. We ended up walking around a bit. We ended up getting, I think it's called Joe's Pizza, which was really good. Wow. I don't know how they made that pizza so good. Then we went back home. And then I think, actually, another really like big moment for me was that night. We stayed in the lobby and talked for like 4 hours. I think we talked just in the lobby for hours. And sometimes it's so important to remember like just how relatable so many things are, right? Like I found out that a bunch of people had trouble with merch. I found out that a lot of the problems I've had, they've also had. It's just not just from a work perspective. And Bao said that the pizza was mid. No, I thought it was really good. Joe's Pizza, the cheese one, was really good. Yeah, it was really nice to kind of talk for so long. And oftentimes with streaming or anything stream related, we always talk about work only, or we only really talk about things like what are your stream and don't get me wrong, I think it's really exciting to be like, what are you working on stream wise? What are you doing stream wise? What are your ideas for this year? But sometimes when we've talked about all of it, there's this moment in the conversations where you really get to know people. And Vienna actually said something that really surprised me. Like she had a really distinct memory of me, of my past life, where we were in a collab and she mentioned how like people kept talking over her. And I like very gently just kept being like, hey guys, 1 second. I want to hear what Vienna has to say. Hey, 1 second. Like, Vienna, what did you say? And she felt so hurt. I don't remember, but it does absolutely sound 100% like something I do. Do I remember doing that? Absolutely not. But it sounds like something I do. And it was just so sweet to be like, oh man, like she remembers that. So it's a lot of stuff like that where, yeah, you never know when you're making a good impression on someone, right? You never know when like something small you do that's nice is going to stick with people. Then the next morning I was flying out. So I went and I grabbed a burger with Numi. We kind of talked a little bit, walked a little bit, nothing crazy, but even that was really good. And I'm not going to go too much into detail, but I did say that I got very drunk at karaoke, and she was really worried about me. And when I go to cons, I don't really get too drunk because I'm aware that I'm in a work environment. And because I was with like my girlfriends, and because I wasn't at work, and because it was my birthday weekend, I really got like very drunk at karaoke. where like I was fine. I didn't puke. I got home safe, but I was, I was kind of like, I kind of have to remember that not only am I older than them, I'm taller than them, I'm more intimidating. Like I can't explain it properly, but I'm going to try. People get really scared when I lose control because I'm typically somebody who's always like level headed and in control. Like I am somebody that Junie's tall. I was wearing like 6-inch heels. I think like, because I thought about that. I was like, there was a bit of self glazing, a lot of self glazing, because I've seen other people get drunk and it doesn't really bother me. A lot of people have never seen me be too drunk. And maybe because if I get too drunk, it feels like more intimidating. So I felt really bad but it's just so fresh to me. I'm not used to like actually having other people there that can take care of the situation. But yeah, it kind of reminded me that. And I talked to my flesh mother when I came back, because the scary part about drinking is I drank a lot that night. And I got sloppy, but I like was fine, right? I wasn't fighting or anything like that. But I also have a very kind of harsh sense of humor. And because I was also around like some of Numi's friends and Numi's mods, like I may have been a little bit like more harsher than I intended sometimes. And I just have to remember, like, even though in my head we're all friends and this is really, really fun, there are still people there who might be really, really shy. And even if we're joking and I'm like, ooh, don't joke like that, they'll take it very personal and very serious, right? And to me, I'm like, oh no, in my head, I think I'm being like, ooh, don't joke like that. But it's actually no, me being like 6'2", staring at that, being like, don't joke like that. I really don't appreciate when you joke like that. So I got a few apologies to make, and I got a little bit of stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely feel I feel a little bit like, oh man, I think it's a lot to handle if I let myself get loose a bit like that. Especially, like I said, especially because even though I am friends with everybody, it still is like, it was my first time actually like drinking with Numi in that way. And she was even like, whoa, Mata, like you really like. Somebody else made that joke when we went for food, where I was like, yeah, I really let myself go. I should reel it in. They were like, yeah, you should. I was like, damn. But I'll tell you a secret though. I had a lot of fun letting off steam like that. That being said, I think it was mostly that people were worried about me, because Numi talked to me the next day and she was like, were you drinking so much because you're like escaping something? Were you like, are you upset? And that's kind of the problem, where it's hard to explain to people. I didn't drink so much because I was having a bad time. I didn't drink so much because I am unhappy. I just like to drink and I was having too much fun. And I can see how it can be very intimidating, and I can see how it can be a lot to handle. And this is another problem, is like some people, when they drink, they're very docile, not me. And I think that's kind of what was really the big kicker, and something I really need to be careful about. And this is why, like me, myself, I need to kind of know for myself that I can't get that drunk. Is some people you could be like, sit down and wait for the Uber. They'll do that. Me, if somebody goes, Matara, sit down and wait for the Uber, I'll get up. I'll be like, no, you, I'm going to go get pizza. But in my head, I think I'm being silly and goofy, right? Where I'm like, tee hee, I'm a little brat who's going to go get pizza. Except in my heels, I'm 6'2". I'm loud, I'm intimidating, and I'll get up and be like, no, I'm going to go get pizza. You. And I leave, right? And it's like, yeah, there's a little difference between that and at one point, like, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? So it's like, oh, okay. I got big bug girl energy. Thank you so much, K Barn. Thank you. Yeah, maybe the wasn't necessary, but I'm drinking, right? And my dry humor, like, I mean the you, like, you, tee but it's like, you. And then my voice is also low because I've been singing all night. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna go get pizza. And everyone's like, okay, Matara, get home safe, please. So I think there's definitely a little bit of that disconnect. And I talked about it with my flesh mom, where I was like, I think I hadn't really let myself get that drunk in a really, really long time. And it's really good that I felt so comfortable with everybody to do that. But I think I may have traumatized everybody a little bit. I think I may have been a little bit too intimidating. I think I may have intimidated them a little bit when, at the end of the night, everyone's like, Matara, please sit here until we get the Uber. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna go get pizza. Like, oh, okay. Let's not fist fight with her. But yeah. So, are you truly living if you don't traumatize someone? Choke slams friends. Pizza time. Pizza time. Again, in my defense too, I think it's because I only slept for an hour. I definitely explained myself and I apologized and I explained that yeah, the I might need to tone down a lot of notches for that one. I was having too much fun. I was having too much fun. And the reason is like because I felt safe, I was having too much fun, but yeah. And even at one point, like, people were asking if I was like that at MacFest, and everyone's like, no, I've never seen her like this at a con. Because I'm not at a con. I'm in like a closed private karaoke room with my friends. But yeah, I definitely think I may have traumatized some of my new friends. I was like, oh, when people tell you to be yourself and then you're yourself and they're like, wait, no, we didn't mean that. When people tell me to be myself, they don't actually mean. Whoa. No, it was a silly misunderstanding and I talked it out with everybody. And just to be clear, everybody was more so just worried for me because, if it's late at night and everyone's going back and they're like, sit here till the Uber. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get pizza. And I leave. Like at some point, is it their responsibility to make sure that this grown ass tall woman who's a grown ass tall adult gets home safe with her pizza, right? Like at some point, like, what are you? The problem is when I get really, really drunk, I am a little bit combative. That is the problem is I'm not like a docile drunk. I'm not like, okay, yeah. I'm like, no, bada, bada, bada. But they took care of me. They did great. They were wonderful. And I definitely probably intimidated them a little bit. Oh, I didn't beat up anybody. But I was definitely a little bit scary. And I feel really bad. But I talked it out with everybody. All is good. A momo or two might have been devoured. Something like that. Something like that. Спасибо, Rolf.